I'm going to start this video off with two still photos. The first one is a regular SR-71, and the second one is a trainer. It has two cockpits with controls in it for training pilots. I'm standing here in front of A-12 over my left shoulder and an SR-71 on my right shoulder. The SR-71 is a Lockheed ship serial number 1. I can remember working here at the Air Force Plant 42, and we were awaiting the first SR-71 to be shipped from Burbank, California, here to Air Force Plant 42. And sometime in 1964, the aircraft arrived in crates. We had to uncrate it, and we spent several months putting it together, testing it, fueling, defueling, calibrating the fuel quantity instruments, and so on. And finally, sometime in December, mid-December, we did some engine runs to get it ready for its first flight. And I think in late December, like maybe December, I don't know, 23rd or so, we were all pre-flighted. Pilot was in the cockpit, engine started, we taxied out, and he stopped at the gate, and he summoned some crew members to the aircraft to discuss the problem. And one of the, I think it was the left-hand generator, had failed. We opened up the electrical bay and checked out the generator control box, and we couldn't see any evidence of any particular failure. Anyway, it was finally determined that we couldn't fix the problem on the spot, so they canceled the flight. The irony of this whole thing was that North American at the time, they were getting ready to fly their what was then the B-70 Valkyrie, and they taxied out, and they had a problem. They had to shut down, go back. We tried again the next day, and it was almost like we had a race between the two companies to see who could get their airplane up in flight first. As it turned out, on the third try, we finally got out on the runway and took off, and didn't have any more problems after that. And then the B-70, it flew also the next day, but we did beat it out. We consider that a victory. Anyway, this was the very first SR-71 that I worked on. I got to know the inside, outside, and all the operations of it. The aircraft was also instrumented for flight test operations. I was involved in that. We did run into some difficulties when you compare it to, let's say, working on a conventional, like an F-104. If you had to do any soldering on the aircraft, for instance, they didn't use lead soldering because lead soldering would just melt in flight, and the circuit would just come apart. I know in days prior to the flight, we had a problem with the left aileron indicator wasn't working. It turned out that the mechanical linkage to the tracking, they used a potentiometer. It turned out to be okay, but it had a defective connection. So in order to fix it, you had to use a small arc welder to make the connection. You used a silver for solder, and it was quite a chore to work on this aircraft. Nothing on it was easy. Anyway, that's about all I have to say about this thing, other than I was really proud to have worked on this aircraft. This is the Pratt & Whitney J58 engine that was used in the SR-71. It was a high bypass engine. If you look at these three tubes that you see here in the front, those were bypass the hot section and fed high oxygen air to the afterburners. This thing had 5 stages of afterburner. It's a very powerful engine, and it's not used on any other aircraft that I know of. Now I'm standing at the rear end of an SR-71. The engine's got plugs in them. And if you look close on these plugs, you'll see the Lockheed logo, which is a skunk. And if you're curious how they came by a skunk as being a logo, it's a long story, so I won't go into it right now. Anyway, you should be able to get a good look at it. This is an old U-2D model. It's been sitting in storage for a long time. It probably hasn't flown in over 20 years. It still looks the same or similar to U-2R or U-2S, but as far as the internals and the type of equipment they carry has been substantially upgraded. Anyway, this here just gives you an idea of what a U-2 looks like. Yeah, I'm standing in front of a Lockheed D-21 parasitic drone. Parasitic means it was carried by another aircraft. It was designed originally to be flown atop a SR-71, or they called it an M21 mothership, but after a few experimental flights, they lost the drone and the aircraft, and one crew member of the aircraft was killed in that, and so they discontinued the development and flight testing of this particular drone, and it was handed over to a different organization. I think I've seen some pictures where B-20 or B-52 aircraft carried one drone under each wing to basically perform reconnaissance missions from that particular platform. But anyway, this here is just a museum piece now, even though it has all the parts to it, and that's about it for it.